Cheers. It's never too early for some jungle juice. Sorry about that. We are in a celebratory mood. Welcome back to the Kevin Blakicki YouTube channel as the Gamecock women's basketball team has beaten LSU for the 19th consecutive time. They haven't beat us since 2012. They lose again in the SEC semifinals by a score of 83-77. What an amazing game this was. And look, I'm not going to lie, South Carolina has been dominant this year. They've been one of the best teams in the country, but that doesn't mean that I still don't get nervous when I watch their games. I'm going to be nervous with the exception of like the first round game and probably the second round game. Once they enter the Sweet 16, I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to be nervous for the rest of the season because I want South Carolina to win the SEC championship. I want them to win March Madness as well, especially after we got our ass kicked by UConn in the national championship game last year. It sucked. It's obviously, in my opinion, a much more palatable loss than a close game because you're thinking like, well, maybe if this shot went in or this happened or that happened, it would have been a different game. It's a lot easier to take on the chin that they were just the better team in that game, but it doesn't hurt any less. And this game was also so important to me because of Mylasia Fulwiley. She transferred to LSU this season. Those were one of the two teams that I didn't want her to transfer to. It was obvious that her and Dawn Staley had their differences and they didn't mesh well together. Mylasia wanted to start. She thought that she was going to do better under a different system. She wanted to win as well. And, she's lost 2 times to South Carolina. She's still coming off the bench. And Raven Johnson's having a career year. And Raven Johnson set a career high in points in both games against LSU this year. She had 19 in the first game on Valentine's Day, and then she had a career high 22 points in this game. And she was awesome. And seeing her development has been incredible to watch and very enjoyable. And so I don't know what's going on with Mylasia Fulwiley. You do have to give her credit. She came off the bench. She played 35 minutes, 24 points, 10 of 21 from the field, 2 of 8 for 3, and 4 assists. Yeah, she played well. She did have a good game. She was dominant in the first half, but then she definitely slowed up a little bit in the second half. But I mean, at that point, if you're playing 35 minutes, you might as well just start. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a bench player play 35 minutes. Maybe she might get some starting time, during the tournament. But I mean, she's having a career year as well. All of her numbers are up. But we'll see how she continues to develop. And with this being the 19th consecutive loss by LSU to South Carolina, it's proving that there's a clear difference between Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey. No disrespect to Kim Mulkey. Kim Mulkey has more championships than Dawn Staley does. Kim Mulkey also had an undefeated perfect season when she was the head coach at Baylor. Kim Mulkey is a fantastic head coach. However, she does dumb stuff in crunch times of crucial games, and there's a reason why all these games have been close, and she's been on the wrong side of all of them. They were talking about on the broadcast questionable timeout calls by Kim Mulkey, and then she didn't have the opportunity to advance the ball, and she's taking timeouts at really weird times of the game. And also, Flau'jae Johnson was completely a non-factor in this game. She only had 6 points and went 1 for 8 from the field. And this is especially hilarious after Flau'jae Johnson's mom went on social media and told everybody how they might be winning on the court, but Flau'jae is winning off the court, and she was running her mouth and she was talking all that shit, and she ended up having a terrible game with the game online. And you know what? These 2 games could be on Flau'jae Johnson. She missed those 2 crucial free throws, even though that she brought, LSU back into that game in the 4th quarter. She had the opportunity to ice that game, and she didn't. And then in this game, also only taking 8 shots. Great job by South Carolina's defense. The other girls were just open. Flau'jae Johnson was just not a factor. So that is also a reason for it. But Kim Mulkey has proven that she can't beat Dawn Staley, and Dawn Staley will always have a coaching advantage over her. And this was a great win for South Carolina. But I must say, we do need more production off the bench. Alicia Tornabees didn't play. I don't know why. Maddie McDaniel led the bench with 16 minutes. We only had 5 points, 3 from McDaniel and 2 from Dowda. And this is what I've kind of been saying in my previous videos all year long, is that there's no question that South Carolina has one of the best starting 5s in the nation. They all were either all SEC first or second team. They are phenomenal players, and they're going to lead this team far. If this team wants to compete with a team like UConn and actually win a national title, they're going to have to be better off the bench. They're going to have to rely on their bench scoring more often. I don't want to see Joyce Edwards play 40 minutes a game like she did in this game. She's going to wear herself out. I love Tessa Johnson, but her playing 36 minutes, as great as she is, isn't really benefiting this team. She has definitely earned that playing time for sure, but I feel like this team is really reliant on the 2 bigs, Joyce Edwards and Medina Okot, and we've seen in games where South Carolina either loses or struggles, if you're able to take away Joyce Edwards and not let her dominate in the paint, you have a really good chance at beating the South Carolina team. And UConn is proving that they're just beating everybody. And to be fair, they also don't play anybody. They've played all their tough games have been non-conference games. 2 things can be true at the same time. UConn is a phenomenal basketball team. They also don't play anybody. They play in the Big East. I mean, they're in a conference. We need to tell people talk about Notre Dame needing to join a conference in football. We got to get UConn out of the Big East. Maybe join the ACC. Do something. I mean, playing in the Big East just isn't it right now. They're just dominating. They have no competition. But I digress. With this win, South Carolina is going to face their another SEC rival that they've had a new rivalry, the Texas Longhorns. Now, Texas was actually favored in this tournament to win the whole thing, despite South Carolina actually being the number 1 seed. And of course, we all remember last year, they played 2 matchups. They split the matchups, and it ended up being a coin toss determining who was the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament, because they both had the same amount of conference wins. So it ended up being in favor of South Carolina. We ended up getting the 1 seed, and we ended up winning the whole damn thing. And these games are usually really good. These 2 teams have played twice already, and the combined margin of victory has been 5 points. Most recently, in the game in Columbia, the Gamecocks have won. Although in the Players Era Tournament Championship back in Vegas, Texas won that matchup. A little fun fact: Texas has never beaten South Carolina in the state of South Carolina, whether it be Columbia or Greenville. Uh, they lost last year twice to South Carolina. Those matchups were a little bit more lopsided. In the Final Four, South Carolina won 74-57, and then they won the SEC championship game 64-55. But earlier that year, they won 66-62. This is a back and forth rivalry. All time, South Carolina has won 6 of the 10 matchups. So it's going to be a good game. And obviously, the key to beating Texas is limiting how good Madison Booker is. If you're able to limit her, you have a really good shot at winning the game. No disrespect to Rory Harmon. She has the ability to make big shots. I mean, she made the shot that beat South Carolina in the Players Era tournament earlier this season. But she's not going to drop 20, 25 points in a game. She doesn't have the ability to take over a game much like Madison Booker can. And you also have to pay attention to Oldacre down in the paint. She's a great player. That should be a fun matchup if they have her and Medina on each other, or her and Joyce. That should be a fun matchup. But it's going to be another, I think, tight game. I don't think it's going to be as big of a margin of victory as it was last year in the SEC championship game. And we'll see how Vic Schaefer reacts. We'll see if he blames it on the games being in South Carolina. If you saw my previous video in the Kevin Blakicki show, I mentioned, the different sites that the game has been played in, and how it doesn't matter that the games are played in South Carolina. We have such a strong fan base that we travel anywhere. I went into it more. If you want to go deeper into that story, you can watch the most recent episode of the Kevin Blakicki show that's on my YouTube channel. But basically, it's going to be a heavyweight battle. This is the 1 versus 2 matchup that we wanted. Of course, South Carolina was never going to get away from playing LSU in this tournament, or Texas. These are the best teams in the SEC. And if you want to be an SEC champion, you got to beat the best teams. So this is by far the best conference championship final that we have. It's going to be the most viewed probably. And I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also nervous. Again, I don't want South Carolina to lose this. I want them to win the SEC tournament. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how Joyce Edwards is able to play. If they're able to get hopefully some more production off of their bench, or if they're heavily reliant on their starting 5. We'll see how well Madison Booker does if she lights up the stage in Greenville. It's going to be a heavyweight battle. I can't wait for it. So if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you want to follow me on social media, follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Kevin Blakicki. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.